Hi guys, welcome to another episode of Beach Fishing Antics cookery program. So today what we're going to do is we are going to cook fisherman's pie, which is a brilliant way of using fish that you've caught, particularly anything that's kind of on the larger side, so that, you know, nice sized cod. I find dogfish particularly goes well in this. My wife's not that keen on dogfish, but when I've put it in fisherman's pie, she hadn't really noticed. Personally, I really like it. So, you know, dogfish, huss, and you know, cod. Frankly, anything that's kind of, you know, reasonably chunky, you can throw into a fisherman's pie. Throw some prawns in, throw whatever you want in. That's the great thing about it. It doesn't really matter, and it's incredibly simple to cook. Now, first thing we need to do is, I've got some small saucepan there with some water that's simmering away nicely. I've also got a saucepan here with some potatoes that are peeled and chopped up, and they are on the go for the mashed potato, which is going on the top of the pie. So what I want to do is grab a couple of eggs, because a good fisherman's pie should have hard-boiled eggs in them. So what I'm going to do, you can see this, try it on that camera. If you look at the egg and you've got kind of like one end more rounded, one end more pointed. At the rounded end, there is a little air sac. So if you get a pin and just very gently make a little hole in the end, like so. Sometimes it's not that easy to tell on the egg which way the egg sac is, which is really annoying. But I think we've got the right one there. Now basically what that will do is when I let that into the simmering water, plop that in there. That was actually the wrong bloody end. That's the law of sod, isn't it? Never mind. The air will expand, and then that hole will let the air come out, and then you won't end up with a cracked egg. So, and we have here, because I haven't been fishing recently, or not kind of caught anything terribly recently, I'm just going to get a bit of kitchen towel here. I am using some cod and some smoked haddock that comes from Grimsby. We have a guy phones me up every couple of weeks and says, "Do you want any fish?" And it comes straight from the trawlers or from the smokehouse, which is fantastic. So I know it's nice and fresh, but as it's been in my freezer, what I want to do is just make sure it comes out of there. What I don't want is the fish to be really, really wet, because that will affect how we make the sauce. So I don't want loads of water in there, so let's get rid of that. Stick that over there for now. Very nicely. Okay, so we've got here some beautiful smoked haddock and some nice cod. So what I'm going to do is just chop that into reasonably big chunks. Not an enormous amount here, but essentially this is just for myself and my wife, so we don't need huge quantities. And we'll put that into a saucepan. Same again with cod. Cut that up into nice big chunks. Like so. There we go. Let me stick that into the saucepan there. Okay, and that is as simple as that. Now, we go to the fridge, we get out some milk, and all we're going to do is pour enough milk so that's just about covered the fish. You can see that in there. Okay, and to that milk and the fish, some freshly ground black pepper, a little bit of salt, and we go to the cupboard, and in here, hopefully, oh yeah, parsley. Splendid. Going to need some parsley. Fresh parsley is obviously always better, but you know, dried parsley, absolutely fine. We don't need that just yet. So what we're going to do is just bring that milk up to just below the simmering point. What we don't want it to do is simmer up and boil, because all that will happen is the milk will kind of weirdly start to separate and stuff, and you'll end up with a really weird looking concoction. So all we're doing is just bringing that gently up to just below the point where it will start simmering. And right, a dish for putting everything in. Now, the other thing we need go to the cupboard, we're going to need some corn flour to thicken the sauce up. Now, you can be all poncy and kind of funny about making a roux, which is butter and flour, and you cook that off very gently in a pan, and then you add your milk and everything to it gradually and keep stirring. And that's the way you thicken a sauce, the proper way. You don't need to fanny about doing that. All you need is some corn flour. It's really very, very straightforward. This is all about simple home cooking, not being a gastronaut. So let's keep it simple. Okay, so we're now in a position where we're just kind of waiting. So we'll fast forward this bit. And just see this milk is just starting to come up to the point where it looks like it's about to start simmering. So what I'm going to do now is turn that right down. And just let that sit there for a couple of minutes. Just let the fish kind of sit in the warm milk. As I said, it doesn't want to be simmering, it doesn't want to be boiling. It just wants to come up to just below that heat, and then just let that sit there for a couple of minutes. That's all it's going to need. Go to one side, just have a look at that. Right, okay, that's about done. That's all it takes, a couple of minutes at that temperature. So we turn that off, and then we get a slotted spoon. Oh, hanging on me. And we very carefully lift out. Now you might be able to see that that's almost but not quite cooked. So just to the stage where it's just going to start flaking, and that's all we need it to be, because don't forget that cooking process is going to finish off in the oven. So all we've done really is just start that cooking process off and imparted some of the flavour from the fish, particularly the smoked haddock, into the milk. And like I say, what's a really nice thing to do is whack some nice tiger prawns in there or something like that, but we're just going for a very straightforward, very simple one today. So now what we do, we need to go to the cupboard again, and in here we have some mustard powder, which is a bit of a kind of secret ingredient. Again, I'm bashing the camera, which is really annoying. Okay, so we're just going to take a slightly heaped teaspoon of mustard powder and sprinkle that in. Now, You may be thinking, mustard powder, that's just going to kind of make everything taste mustardy and horrid. I'm not a big fan of mustard. But just that amount of mustard powder is not going to, you won't taste the mustard, but what it does do is massively bring out the flavour of the fish. It makes an incredible difference. It's really weird. But it works. So, you know, at the end of the day, if it works, it works. Then we get our parsley. And we put a good dollop of parsley into the liquor. And then we can put that away. And I'm just going to give that a bit of a stir. Like so essentially, you have a nice fishy parsley sauce. I'm going to put a little bit of butter in there to make that nice and shiny and lovely. And then we will get corn flour into a glass, a little bit cold water, and mix that up like so. Right, and we just put the heat back on reasonably low. Again, we don't want to be kind of fierce. With this. Milk really doesn't like being heated up fiercely. So what I'm going to do is we won't whack all of that in. It's kind of trial and error bit here. We keep stirring that, and as that heats up and cooks up the corn flour, that will thicken up. Now, it's so much less faff than making a roux, because then you've got to judge how much roux you've got. I mean, to be honest, I normally get it right, but doing it this way is so much less faff. And to be honest, doesn't really taste any different. So keep it simple, stupid is the mantra. Okay, so the heat's now starting to do its job, and I can see the sauce is starting to thicken up. What we do is get that to the point where it's just, that's starting to simmer now, which is the point that I know that the corn flour will be kicked off. So now I can have a look at how that is, and I actually want that a little bit thicker, so now I can add a wee bit more corn flour. Okay, and that's about perfect. Okay, and that's the sauce done. So there we go, we've got a nice glossy, fishy, yummy sauce. So, grab a knife and we'll just cut those into quarters and place strategically amongst our lumps of fish. Grab some peas. I'm going to use them up. So those in there. All mixed together like that. And then grab a lovely sauce. Look at that, beautiful. Oh, lovely fishy parsley sauce. Put that over the top. Beautiful, as simple as that. So, all we need to do now, grab a fork, done way too much mashed potato. I always do that. Always overestimate how much potato I actually need. Okay, just smooth that down again without putting, don't put too much pressure on it. If you're going to press it, you're just going to squidge everything out to the edges. So I just want to make sure we've got a nice. And then that goes into a preheated oven at around about 180 degrees centigrade for about 15 to 20 minutes, just until the top is, by the time the top is nice and crisp and golden, the whole thing will be ready. So let's do that now. Okay guys, so it's 20 minutes later. The alarm's just gone off. So, I take that out of the oven. Turn the oven off, and there we go. Look at that, absolutely beautiful fish pie. Have to be that one. A couple of plates here ready, and let's just break into that. You can see how that fish is just flaked up beautifully. Got the peas, got some nice lovely potato on top. And there we go guys. My way of cooking fisherman's pie. Absolutely beautiful, really simple, straightforward, nothing to go wrong. So bon appetit. Hope you enjoyed that one. I'll catch up with you again in a week or so's time with some, hopefully, fish on camera from some sessions in Norfolk. For now, that's it. Take care, keep fishing. I'll see you soon.